This is a First and 10 Monday on Coaching Football with Brian Clee.
So in this First and 10 Monday, we're going to talk about using a 3-4 angle call or an over-front concept against a 2x1 pro. This is a follow-up to a previous First and 10 Monday weekly game plan where I talked about using a 3-4 slant call or under-front concept about the same, defending the same 2x1 pro offense. Top plays were ISO strong and ISO weak. I think the advantage of running the angle or the over is that you end up creating an A-gap bubble, and the movement is typically a little bit more challenging for an offense to pick up. So angle call, we'd be calling left-left because the tight end, or there's ultimately three eligible receivers to the left. There's only two to the right, so we call that the strength of the formation. And we are slanting into that B-gap. So now that tackle has to be taken in an inside step or washing that 4 technique down. And even if that tackle washes the 4 technique down, the C-gap's going to close by 9-tech outside linebacker slamming into that C-gap. So our linebackers, I said, would key the running backs because they didn't have a lot of pulling or misdirection plays. So this 30 technique, he sees back at him, he keys that running back come at him. He's looking to fill to start. If that running back would widen out because he sees the hole closing, the 4 technique gets into the B gap, creates penetration, makes this ball bounce and spill to the outside, that 30 technique's going to work and he can end up scraping outside. He's got to match that lead back, that full back blocking him. Backside 30 technique, he's B gap responsible. I think this is one small advantage why you maybe want to call it an angle call or an overfront as opposed to a slant call or underfront. That B gap is a little shorter cutback for our 90 tech outside linebacker on that side. And as that 30 technique sees back away, he can straight to opposite A. Now the big thing here is we are leaving that front side A gap. That's a little bit vulnerable because our nose is moving to the weak side A gap. So this 30 technique linebacker on the play side, he's got to know that the ball has bounced and spilled before he scrapes outside because that guard really kind of has a clean shot on that backside 30. That backside 30 could tighten up and maybe play as like a 10 technique because he could still get to his B gap and then he's more likely to get across the midline, especially if they keep running to the tight end side of the formation. Again, the 90 technique is the cutback. And we don't need that 30 out there fast because our free safety's rolled up. He's able to play force and tackle anything that's spilled. So it comes down to this kid at the play side 30 really understanding, all right, it's there. I'm going to spill it. My buddy, all right, he beats the guard over the top late. He's closing outside of the insert. And then if the ball spills all the way to the perimeter, the free is completely unblocked as the force defender, and our deep safety has come over. He's on the vertical of the tight end. The tight end hooks up on that 9 technique. He becomes a bonus guy in the run fit as well. And again, that backside 90 would be playing cutback or counter to boot. ISO weak. Now, this is kind of the classic place where teams like to run ISO weak because there's that B gap bubble. We're getting some similar to when we're slanting the nose to the tight end side. Now we're sending it to the weak side. This backside 30 technique, or the strong side 30 technique, he's on the backside of the play. He sees back away. He can start to scrape over the top. Front side 30, in most cases, I want him spilling that insert block of the lead back. We got our overlap with the other inside linebacker. 90 technique outside linebacker is force, C gap, A gap, and this backside A gap is the only place that we don't have accounted for. Free would be keying end man to back. That back goes away. He's slow flow cut back, and he's A gap responsible. Now that folds a little further for that A gap. That's the downside of running the angle. But I think you're going to get your inside linebackers over to that ISO side even better, and you're in really good shape with the 90 technique. Deep safety, he sees tight end hook up, and he can kind of start working downhill and become part of the run fit. I do think that's the advantage of putting that 9 across the tight end's face. that tight end's either clearly going to turn his shoulders and be blocking him, trying to seal him off from heel line or something. Same thing with the tackle, the deep safety's not key in the tackle, but both those guys got a chance of hip pocketing from the backside on that movement, on runs going to that weak side. So it comes down to, does the team attack the tight end side, which the team we saw attack that tight end side more? Well, we're going to leave the A-gap bubble, put our inside linebacker in it to that tight end side. It's going to let our inside linebacker get over to anything on the weak side a little bit quicker, in my opinion, because he's initially A-gap responsible, and he's keying that back away. That nose is going to keep the A-gaps empty, and I think it's a little bit easier for a 30 technique linebacker to beat a scooping guard as opposed to a down blocking guard. The other plays we had to defend, play action, either boot or flood. We still remained up, so if you watch this last video, I'm on top and inside the whole time. Make the quarterback have to throw it over my head. If I cover the clear out route, which is ultimately what that post corner is, the quarterback's probably not even going to throw it. I do like being in our 3-4 angle or over concept a little bit more against the pass, because we're working robber technique where this deep safety is going to have leverage with the free safety. So that free safety, he sees that tight end block down. He didn't hook up on the 9 technique at all. He sees back go away. He can be a little bit patient because he's supposed to handle boot. All right, boot's coming back at me. I can work to have outside leverage on whatever those routes are. And if they come back with flood's on in green here, he would want to play underneath and outside the tight ends, kind of angled out route here. In the deep safety, he would be, all right, tight end released inside. I got to be patient. He didn't hook up. I got to be on top and inside. If the ball did get thrown to the flats, free safety could work down on it. And once that ball's thrown, we want to see that ball thrown to the flats. And I think you're better, especially against the flood concept here, being in this overfront, because that free safety is going to have outside leverage. Whereas when we were a slant or underfront concept, that 9 technique, even if he's outside leverage, if that tight end blocks down, he's used to stepping down and then chasing the quarterback. Now he steps down, that tackle pass sets, he's still going to work to leverage that. We're ultimately putting better leverage with that safety walk down, that free walk down in the flats on that side against the boot or the flood concept especially. And then the backside corner wants to stay on top and inside of that backside. Quick game, again, same deal. If you choose to be cover 0 or even cover 1, but you play the corners inside leverage, you're taking away, you're flattening that slant route, playing on top and inside, There's not a lot of room. There's a little bit more room to work the hitch, but if that ball's hung up at all, the corner's going to be able to drive down on it from inside on top leverage and probably undercut it for a pick. And then the one downside here, it's harder with the way that we play our angle front. We ultimately would walk both safeties over. We're skying the free safety down, and the deep safety walks over from the other side. So to get a double team, we would be counting on the 90 technique outside linebacker to probably widen if it's a pass situation, and now the corner would step off and ultimately play a deep third, play cover 3 on that side. Here we could definitely play a cover 2 concept with the deep and the corner. We could also, again, widen that free safety out. He's playing underneath, corner's playing a deep third, and you put your deep safety, he's ultimately the vertical of the tight end. Unless the tight end's out, then he can help the corner. So I do think you lose some options, especially with how to play that split end side when you are in the angle call or the overfront. Last 2 plays, talking about sweep strong. I do like that by stunting this 9 technique inside, unless this tight end's really been taught up to work a zone, work a cylinder, and block the D-gap player, he's going to get that 9 technique he's going to hook up on him early. And this might be a coach's first response if you shut down the ISO strong. Hey, I want to get outside because they're angling their guys inside. They're taking away our interior run gap, so let's get the ball outside of the sweep. Oh, 30 technique linebacker, he sees back out. He doesn't have to worry about his A-gap anymore. Free safety sets the edge because he's skied down. And now this lets our deep safety trigger quite quickly because that tight end's either going to hook up on that 9 technique and you're going to see his shoulders turn, or he's not. And I can work the alley as a bonus guy. I really got great shape. The play side 30 here, he is outside the tight end and inside the lead block of the near back. And the free safety is the outside force player. Backside 30, steps up. He sees back away. He's scraping for the opposite A there. If he sees a run through, hit it. If not, the ball goes past it. All the colors out of that. Keep on going. Quarterback probably boots away on this. And then 90 technique is the B-gap cutback on the play side. So really like this, again, sweep strong. The difference between the over and under front is that 9 technique working inside. He's probably going to make this edge a little shorter. The run for the 30 technique ends up being a little bit smaller. And the free is going to, I think it's a little bit easier to leverage the edge. From any time you get a wider alignment, it's easier to leverage the edge. So it just becomes a matter, did you coach your free safety up to play as a down safety in this situation? And what we've done defensively in the past few years, that's something we teach all our defensive backs to be able to do. Lastly, dive strong here. Really like it because we're closing the B gap. That back dives straight at me. I'm stepping the A gap. This is just 8 up. And now maybe the ball, okay, it bounces back this way. Well, 90 technique, this guy's across. Backside 30, he's going to be across. He's looking for quarterback to pitch because his back went away. 30 techniques up in A gap. He's going to hit with his inside shoulder against that dive back. The 4 techniques probably making a mess there. It comes down to how good are your free and your 90 outside linebacker at playing a potential cutback or spill. That ball spills out. We got C gap, B gap, A gap closed. The free has to be there. And now this gets a little bit dicey. All right, 9 technique though. He got hooked up with the tight end. So that deep safety, he can be late to any sort of option game if that's something that team does well. The team we saw when we ran this didn't do it terrifically. And the backside 90, if that cuts back to the backside B gap, backside 90 outside linebacker is working his cutback counter boot reverse rules. He should be in position. So the dive strong, I think, is completely canceled out. So there's some ideas for a 3-4 angle or over concept against a 2x1 pro set.
If you think it would be fun to participate in a 1st and 10 Monday in some way, shape, or form, whether that is you presenting an offensive formation or two and how you would go about game planning against how I would try to defend that, and I'm going to exchange some ideas about how we're going to game plan to defend that offensive concept and those formations, or if you want to flip that script and you want to have me present an offensive formation or two and some offensive concepts and how we're going to game plan for how you would go about trying to defend us, and you're exchanging your ideas about how to put together a defensive game plan to stop that, that'd be great. There's my contact information. Hit me up on Twitter, leave a comment down below, or shoot me an email.